Technology-enhanced learning has been on the rise for the past few decades. Virtual learning platforms have been used in classrooms and companies worldwide, offering a unique environment for skills development in both formal and informal contexts, removing geographic barriers to education and therefore opening access to trained professions and support from anywhere. The ImREAL project is developing an augmented learning experience for adults. The detailed research and development of tools has required input from academics across Europe and is being combined with state-of-the-art commercial immersive learning environments.
We've looked at market research, we looked at the trends, and key trends we identified is, first of all, is massive demand for soft skills and opportunities for training which is based on simulated learning environments. Adults learn from personal experiences and they are willing to learn as long as that helps them into their work practices.
The project is divided into 4 broad areas of research, which all feed into improving the learning environment as tested by the 2 simulator developers.
By participating in the ImREAL project, we get to work together very closely with the best researchers in these fields. And off the back of that, we can then leverage those capabilities to improve the products and solutions that we're delivering into the marketplace. When a simulation developer is designing the training and assessment simulations, the ImREAL services can provide exemplar social content, cultural communication knowledge, and advice on the structural elements of a simulation. When learners are engaged with a simulation, coaching elements can be adapted to provide, for example, more relevant content based on a richer understanding of the learner, their cultural awareness, for example. They can provide targeted metacognitive prompts to help further develop the learner's understanding of how they learn effectively, and provide social contents and interaction to provide more exemplars of real-world applications and the transfer of learning into the workplace.
The Learning Framework team of educationalists and psychologists brings insights into the distinct pedagogy of adult learning.
We are trying to bring into the project different concepts of adult learning and what people need, for instance, in the corporate sector in order to engage in training.
Self-regulated learning refers to learning experiences where the learner actively takes part in the learning process and consciously reflects on the learning activity.
Andragogy is a kind of the art of adult learning. The principles of andragogy have very much to do with that training needs to be in line with the life experiences, with the learning experiences of the learner. The training experience needs to be relevant to the specific job needs of a certain learner.
In this research area, social scientists model human activity so that computer scientists can develop more socially responsive algorithms.
We bring in sort of the technologies that will enable us to capture all the essential concepts for interpersonal communications, to gestures and so on, and then allow a computational model to build on top of it. AMON is activity model ontology. So we actually used Stan, our social scientist, to go and observe what's in the real world. We then identify important concepts that are relevant for non-verbal interpersonal communications. I call it stands for Intelligent Content Assembly Workbench. So what it is, it's trying to pull the content from the social media. So remember I talked about AMON. That gives us the concepts and relationship. So we use that to actually mark up or annotate the content accordingly. And then we have to develop algorithms to retrieve the relevant ones as and when appropriate. View-as is an analytical tool. So it will be good to see actually from the pool of resources what concepts have been covered by that pool of resources. So we have got a graphical way to visualize this ontology, and then also highlighted areas that the content has covered.
In order to enhance reflection, it was considered essential for the simulators to have intelligent support systems that could guide the learner.
We're developing a service that responds to the emotional state of the user and provides scaffolding, prompts and interventions that deal with that and also with their awareness of their metacognitive state.
These tools have a very broad set of added value. In particular, these tools can be integrated in any learning situation, and that's our challenge here, is that whether you're learning online via traditional courseware where you're consuming different bits of web content towards a certification, or learning in immersive simulations such as these, or even in very dynamic and rich game situations, we want to offer learners the potential to continuously develop these lifelong learning skills, these so-called 21st century skills, where they're establishing the abilities to regulate and control their own learning.
From the outset, the project aimed to mine the social web in an attempt to gain further knowledge about the learner and their learning needs.
The Web Information Systems Group at TU Delft brings in into ImREAL expertise in terms of user modeling and adaptation, particularly in terms of the social web usage, as well as the exploitation of semantic web technologies to use the social web data for the sake of user modeling and adaptation. So we have particular components that allow you to tap into particular social web platforms, looking for particular elements that you want to get out of there. At the same time, it also brings in tools that help developers compose and assemble such strategies with the graphical user interface, with service orchestration and service production tools. So all of these tools and instruments are there to, as building blocks to orchestrate and deliver a concrete service that people could use if they want to apply augmented user modeling in their e-learning simulating application.
The project's user-centric approach was supported by two distinct use cases. Both use cases are based on interpersonal skills and have been shaped around the two simulators, Imaginary and Empower the User. In this scenario, one of the key issues was to make the learning experience more relevant to the learner.
The effective metacognitive scaffolding service allows us to get information from the learner by triggering and offering them kind of suggestive questions. How effectively did you plan that situation? At the same time, we also offer a variety of different ways for them to capture their emotion. So a variety of smileys or a mood map.
We also later on focused on improving the adaptation in this simulation by knowing more about the learners before they come to the simulation.
With the social web, there's lots of other knowledge available that if you can smartly get it out of that reservoir, you can actually use it for the sake of enhancing the knowledge that you have about your users and thus improving the potential for better user modeling and adaptation. That's augmented user modeling.
Either we do that by mining their social web behavior, or we also engage them in a kind of a learner modeling dialogue where we can identify certain characteristics about the learner. With the Imaginary Simulator, we started the other way around. So in that case, the simulation content had to be created from the beginning. And that's where we are bringing in this conceptual model of the activity, which is based on these social science theories.
We understand that through activity systems that an activity is governed by cultural, historical rules and norms. There's a broader community which influences the activity, and there is a division of labour as well. What we are particularly interested in the ImREAL project is these kind of soft tools that people use, so non-verbal communication, interpersonal skills, and so on.
From then on, we are looking to show the simulated designers some examples, and then the simulated designers can decide that they can write the script in their own way.
One of the challenges of delivering a learning simulation is the idea of keeping it updated. So actually how the project is supporting this phase is that we can collect really relevant and authentic useful content from the users and re-inject it in a very simplified way, quite regularly and in a very easy, cost-effective way.
The ImREAL approach pioneers a new breed of learning systems which connect virtual training to real-world experience and engage people's interest. By offering cost-effective training, facilitating both learners and course instructors, ImREAL will have a real impact on workplace performance and learning.
In the future, our online presence will be an exact replicate of who we are in the real world. So you won't be able to tell the difference. So who you are in the real world will be who you are on the online world.
I personally believe that the learners are there and the learners are ready, because they are expecting, the generation of learners is expecting that innovation to come into the technologies.